Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chris, aka the Fairy Fro Mother. Today I'll be sharing on how to care for the ends of your hair for optimal length retention. That is where a lot of people are having issues. The hair is growing regardless, but are you able to retain that length? We all have different growth rates, but whatever your growth rate is, are you able to retain the length? That's the question. And I'll be sharing some tips on how you can achieve that. Caring for the ends of your hair is crucial for maintaining healthy looks, for maintaining luscious hair, especially when you are aiming for length retention. Now, we have heard it a million times that the ends of our hairs are the most fragile. They are the oldest parts of our hair. And because of that, they require special attention in order to prevent breakage and promote growth. All right, now here are some things that can help to retain length. First, you have to trim off those damaged ends. Okay, you must take off the damaged ends. If you have split ends, you have to take them off. You cannot repair it. It has to be taken off. That is why it is so important to take care of your hair properly. Use the healthy hair practices. I've shared it on this channel so many times. Use it. Follow those steps so that you can take care of your hair. If you do it that way, you will minimize the amount of split ends that you will get. So you don't have to cut off so much. You don't have to keep trimming and trimming and trimming. There is no rule. I don't agree that there is a rule for how often you should trim your ends. Some say 8 to 12 weeks. I don't believe in that. I just believe that you should trim your hair as and when needed. And believe me, if you're taking care of your hair the way you ought to, if you're paying attention to your hair the way you ought to, taking care of your ends well, then you will not need to trim so much. You will not need to do every 12 weeks you trim. No, there will be no need for it because your hair will be healthy. All right, your hair will be healthy. So I can't tell you trim every 2 months or trim every 3 months. Your hair may not need it. If you're doing the needful, you won't need to do that much. At most 3 times a year. And that is even when you're still trying to get it right. Okay, so it is important to trim off split ends. But again, if you're doing the needful, you will not have much split ends. It will even get to a point where you may not even need to do any trimming because your ends are so healthy. Secondly, paying special attention to your ends when you moisturize your hair. Whether you're moisturizing your hair or you're just moisturizing it on the day of wash day, pay special attention to your ends. They are more prone to breakage, okay? So they need to be well hydrated, they need to be well moisturized. So use your hydrator. I have a video on hydrators for natural hair. I have a video on it. If you haven't seen it, please go see it. If you're using your multiple strength hydrator, like your tea sprays, or you're using the glycerin in water, or you're using um, rose water, whatever it is you're using as your hydrator, ensure that you hydrate your hair first before you go ahead to moisturize it. So take those ends, hydrate it, and moisturize it. All right, even if you have already done your normal routine for remoisturizing for the week. Let's say you remoisturize your hair twice a week. Take one day to do your ends only. Take one day to remoisturize your ends only. Pay attention to the ends. That day is just for your ends. Take the ends, hydrate them, apply your leave-in conditioner, apply your oil, and seal with your buttercream, your styling butter or your buttercream, whatever sealant you're using. Okay, it's very important because you are giving extra care to those ends that you know are very fragile. So if they don't break off easily, you will be able to retain length. If your ends are strong, if your ends are healthy, you'll be able to retain length. So that's even the one of the reasons why people who protective style without extensions do well, do better when it comes to growing out their hair because they have more access to their hair. They have complete access to their hair when it comes to remoisturizing. If you're wearing extensions, there are parts of your hair that you cannot reach. All right? If you're wearing extensions, how are you going to moisturize the ends of your hair? How are you going to take extra care of the ends of your hair with extensions? Right? You can only have access to your scalp and even the body of the hair is inside the extension. So what you're applying is getting sucked up by the extension. And you know these extensions, they dry out the hair. So people who protective style just their natural hair without using extensions, they have better access to their hairs, including the ends of their hair. So they do better. They do way better at retaining length. They do better at caring for their hairs, and that's just it. You want to have full access to your hair when you want to re-moisturize it. That's the whole essence of um, the 1 year no extension protective style challenge. All right, so you have the opportunity to really have access to your hair. So again, take out time to re-moisturize just your ends, especially if your ends are out there. Especially if your ends are out there, they are not tucked in. You need to re-moisturize your ends, especially. And even if they are tucked in, do that extra thing for your ends, and your hair will thank you. Gentle detangling is another key aspect of caring for your hair's ends. All right. Always remember to start working from the tip of your hair and then work your way up. Whether you're using a wide tooth comb or your finger detangling, this approach minimizes breakage, especially when you're dealing with knots and tangles. And please don't take down a protective style now and just take a comb and start combing your hair immediately. In fact, you are supposed to spray your hair first with whatever it is you have in your spray bottle. You need to spray your hair first before they take down. Spray your hair first, massage in, then start taking down from the tip. Don't start taking your twist down from here because you may have knots down here. Once you start taking it down from here, it's risky. You are supposed to start here, except when you know. If you know that you have actually hydrated properly and you have been re-moisturizing your hair while you were wearing the protective style, and you know that your ends are free of knots and they are soft, then you can take it down safely from here. But it's not advisable. It's better you just, start from the ends, from the tips. If you have a tool like a rat tail comb, you can use the tip and make sure that you have taken. I have a video on how to take down twists. That was even mini twists, right? Whatever size of twist you are wearing, you may want to go see that video. You do it gently, patiently, because if you take down the style wrongly, you are already losing hair at the takedown stage. Not to talk of when you start detangling. And detangling is a crucial part. That's where most people get impatient, and that's where unnecessary hair loss comes in because you're not patient enough to relax, take a deep breath, and attend to your hair. That's why I don't do my hair when I'm not ready. I don't do my kids' hair when I'm not ready. I have to be prepared mentally and otherwise before I start doing hair so that I don't take it out on the hair. It happens. We are humans and these things happen. Sometimes when we are stressed out and it happens that we're doing our hair, we just take it out on the hair. And before you know it, the small inch that you have grown in those 3 weeks just goes off. And you don't see the length retention. And then you say my hair is not growing. No, your hair is growing. You're just not able to retain the length. Now, another thing you can do, another trick, especially if it's not wash day, you're just taking down your protective style and you want to re-moisturize it and install another style, but it's not wash day. What you can do before you start combing your hair, hydrate your hair before taking the style down. After you have taken the style down, don't start combing immediately. You can moisturize the hair. Apply your leave-in conditioner, apply your oil, and seal, right? Then you start detangling. You'll find that it will even be easier for you. That's a trick that I use most of the time, especially if it is not wash day. I just want to do a refresher style for myself or for them girls. That's what I do. All right? Take the style down and moisturize before you detangle. You will see that the hair is already soft because the products you have applied are already working on the hair. You massage in and then you start detangling. It makes it way easier. If you haven't tried that before, try it. It really helps. All right, patience is the key to avoid unnecessary stress to the ends of our hair. Patience is the key. You have to learn patience. You have to learn it. One thing that helped me retain length was the fact that my ends were always tucked in. I was always particular about my ends. So as soon as I had enough length to style my hair and hide my ends, those were the styles that I was going for. Updos, roll and talk, twists that you will knot the ends. Those were the styles that I was wearing for a very long time. And trust me, those styles really helped my ends to stay soft. They helped my ends to stay moisturized so they were not breaking off. That's how I retain length. So if you are used to wearing an afro all the time or wash and go all the time, you know, or your ends are always just out there, your ends will be susceptible to breakage because they will be dry. They will be mostly dry. Environmental factors, everything is affecting it because it's all out there. As much as you can, tuck your ends in if you have enough length. If you don't have enough length for it, no worries. Just take the extra time to re-moisturize your ends within the week. Take extra time, depending on how out there your ends are always. Take time, take extra time. Once or twice a week, do just your ends and see how they will respond to staying moisturized, staying soft, and the breakage will reduce. That's how you can retain length because it's those ends. If the ends are there, if the ends are healthy, if the ends are not breaking off, that's where you'll be seeing the length retention. So try this suggestion and see. It has worked for me. It has worked for many people. I'm sure it will work for you too. Also, don't forget your satin scarves, your satin bonnets, your satin pillowcases to sleep on. Is very important because the friction between our hairs and those cotton uh, fabrics are not nice at all. They cause a lot of breakage. I also have a video on how to preserve our hairs from environmental damage. You can go look for that video and watch it. It will really help you so you know how to protect your hairs. Limiting heat styling is crucial for preserving the health of the ends of your hair. Whether we like it or not, if you use excessive heat, flat irons, curling irons, blow dryers, they can lead to dryness and breakage. And trust me, it starts from the ends. That's why you see people have a lot of split ends. It's from using heating tools. It's from using heating tools. If you see people who don't use heat, it's not as if they are against heat per se. It's just the damage that comes from it, right? And if you see people like that don't use heat, then check their routine and check their hair. They usually do well. Even if they have to use heat, they do it only once in a while. You will hear somebody saying, "This is the first time I'm straightening my hair in 3 years. This is the first time I'm using heat on my hair in 2 years or in 4 years." They have a reason for that. There's a reason for all of that. It's all for the health of the hair. And then some people don't know how to use this thing, moderately. They go overboard with it. And then you see the ends are struggling. A lot of split ends. They are dry, they are brittle. And then you now hear they are chopping off quite, an amount of hair in the name of trimming. So when heat styling is necessary, use heat protectant sprays or opt for lower heat settings to minimize damage. This way, you can reduce the rate at which your hair would have, suffered this damage. And trust me, if you don't do it too often, you'll have nothing to worry about. So I get questions like, how often do you trim your hair? Do you clip your ends at all? And questions like that. I do, but not as often because I have paid my dues. In fact, what I do now is not trimming. I just dust my ends when I have to. If there's a need for that, I dust my ends, or I do the search and destroy method where I take the ends of my hair, I take a pretty good look at it. If there's any split end I see, I take that one off. And that's it. I've paid my dues. I have. And my hair is reaping the benefits. I am reaping the benefits of my healthy hair care practices. So if you take care of your hair and pay attention to the ends of your hair, you will not have to do so much trimming. I am one of those people who don't believe in the fact that the ends of your hair have to be leveled. It has to be, just straight like that. Because I know that our hairs, they all grow at different rates. All the hairs on our head don't grow at the same rate. So they cannot all be leveled at the base. This is my opinion. They can't all be leveled at the base because some are growing faster than the other. All of them cannot be equal at the base. You cannot expect to see that all the hairs at the bottom of your head, they have equal density down there and they are all at the same level. This is us just trying to make our hair look that way, but that's not how it is originally supposed to be. So if you take care of your hair well, you will not need to trim off your hair so much so that you want everything to be leveled. There's no need for that. That's not how we were created, if you know what I mean. So let's just let our hairs do their thing. There's no rule that says that unless the hair is equal density at the base, equal length at the base, and straight at the base, the hair is not healthy. That's not true. That's not true. That's why some people still struggle with retaining length, because sometimes you end up chopping off what you're not supposed to chop off. It's the truth. So overall, length retention starts with proper care of the ends of your hair. Consistent and thoughtful attention to these practices, these steps that we talked about today, will not only preserve the length of your hair, but also enhance its overall health and vitality. I hope that someone has learned something here today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends and families so that they too can learn how to nurture and grow out their natural hair. So when next someone asks me, how did I retain so much length, I will just direct the person to this video because I've pretty much said it all here. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on my next one. Bye-bye.